Hey you guys, it's MJ from I UNPLUG. How are you? So one of you shared something with me which then prompted this discussion today about service versus sale, and this is, I suppose, addressing like a lot more of what I do actually, like internet marketing in general. Actually, I have broached this subject before. It's a little bit of a tricky one, right? Because this is where we're having to really hold space for and just look at our social programming and our social indoctrination. Why? Because there's bound to be, and I literally just shared this, it's like there's got to be 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 of all of our, statistically speaking, one in 4 of your friends or family or whatever is bound to work in advertising and marketing. It's like there's a lot of jobs in that field. And why? Because our industrial complex is based on our continuing to shop as blind consumers. And so these companies get paid a lot of money by other companies to help shift and sell their products, whether or not it's ethical, whether or not it's in alignment with the good of all and that jazz. Because there again, where we got flipped over, our consciousness got externalized, right? The power of our consciousness was externalized, and so i.e. we became separate from it, or we bought into the illusion, we bought into the idea that our power is inherently outside of us. And so we have these tiers in this system which perpetuate that, which propagate that as a construct, as an idea, that indeed we have to keep selling our life force to inhabit this realm. We have to continue to sell ourselves in order to exist here. And that is an aspect of the paradigm shift and a reversal of the world's thinking. And it's not, in my experience, it's really not cut and dry, and it's not via those campaigns. I've done that before as well. Like hi Matthew, I've bought in, to those little, this is how you're gonna do. And well, because usually when you take leaps and you start bottoming out financially, and people are like, well, have you learned about marketing? You need to market your da-da-da. And you're like, okay, yeah, you're right, I'm a big fat loser, trigger. And you're like, okay, I should go learn more about internet marketing, online marketing. And when you're a pretty intelligent human being and you can suss stuff out, i.e. you can understand pretty reasonably well how it works, so you could do any number. I mean, I've actually had access to some pretty like high level, what's his name? There's like these two guys. One guy was Frank, I believe, and the other guy was John. Ugh, I feel Frank, yeah. John, not so sure. Could have been Mark. Anywho, these were like, at the time when I was working with this person, these guys were like the big head honcho in making millions off of online sales. And so they developed techniques, which had a lot to do with, of course, video work and storytelling, and a lot of it really resonated. So I'm not dissing on these online marketing guru types. I'm not. They're, when you're ingesting these courses or studying or whatever, you're like, yeah, this is quite cool. Like, and for me, the thing that I always sussed by these, I've not like I've done loads, but I've done probably a small handful, was that what gels is when people are in their authenticity and they just are what they are, and then they're, and this is what really resonated with me, especially with this Frank guy. Yeah, interesting point, Matthew, right? And yet we are having this, oh my goodness, love and grace, holy shazbat, my friend. You kept popping into my mind, like literally like the last probably increasingly in the last week, but like these last couple of days, yesterday I was actually like, I feel like I need to reach out and message you and just be like, hey, oh, because I'm pretty sure some unplugging was taking place. So welcome back, my friend. I do have much appreciation for you and all of you. So yeah, Matthew, that's like a hella fair point. Let me go back to it. What did you say again? Yeah, it isn't the be all and end all marketing that people make it out to be. No, I know. But then that is a huge default. And the reason I think it's a huge default is because it does trigger those. This is, and obviously you guys know this, like I'm speaking from my personal direct experience. Hi Jody, how are you? Jody, and I've meant to message you on Insta. I'm kind of curious. I feel like you're in America. There's like, I think for some reason there's like this little part of me that's like, are you in the UK? Because anyway. So yeah. Oh, you're in Ontario. Maybe not. But then now I'm thinking, yeah. Because I did, you know how you do a little bit of stalking. I did look into like where your studio was, Yoga and Lifestyle, Cambridge or something like that. So yeah, and you know these topics, right? Oh, right, Toronto area. Okay, cool. Because I was in London, Ontario, and lots of friends in Markham. That kind of rings a bell. Lots of friends in London, Ontario, and Toronto, and all that kind of stuff now. I love Toronto. There's a vegan restaurant called Hogtown, which, wait for it, the mouth is starting to water. Yeah, it's just the classic, I go on about this in the vegan world, but, yes. So, what is it? So, like, Hogtown, you can get, like, classic, like, chili fries, poutine style. So it's, like, chili fries with cheese, but vegan. It's all vegan, Hogtown is. So, yeah. Bonjour, chic équilibre, notre Canadienne, or, no. Yeah, Canadienne? Is that Canadian? Do you guys ever get that where you say a word and you know that's the word, but when you're saying it, you're like, is that the word though? Like, is that actually what the word is? Québécois. Okay, I'm gonna get back to the topic, but like, this is a word that I'm always like, is that even a word? Thimble. Guys, just say the word thimble. Because I can't say the word for serious, because when I say it, I just feel like I have a lisp. Thimble. It's like I'm trying to say symbol, but I'm actually saying thimble. Timber. Thimble. And then there's other words. Who was it? One of you guys, I feel like it was like Erin or something, was talking about words, and my mom's a writer and performer and like she edited the Fearless Life Guide, so she's like a bit of a wordsmith. And so I think I get this from her, and like I sort of apologize, but not actually, because there's sort of like a sexual undertone with it, but like succulent. Succulent. Succulent is a beautiful succulent. And then what's the other one? Moist. Like there's just and those two especially I get, because there is a kind of like sauciness to them. So I totally digress, and I'm looking on my paper being like, where's the topic? What is this share even about? What are we talking about here? Collective intuitions. Oh yeah, of course, services and like sales. And I guess I'm like picking apart lots of my own very wet words. Wet words, yes, they are. And then like wet is saucy because it's all juicy and moist. So yeah. Oh, juicy, that's another one. Like how delicious. Oh, delicious. You guys, what are we even doing? Yeah, okay, so basically this is the whole insight around the fact that like all marketing and sales and advertising is inherently vampiric, because it's like all we're trying to do is trigger people to keep buying stuff. But when we look at the world stage right now, we don't need to keep buying stuff. because the oceans are already clogged up, and our landfills are becoming toxic. Like, if anything, we really more and more need to start to focus on that cleanup, i.e. doing our actions that can, and then here I'm getting like, wait, insert sales tactic. But really, I'm like, that's part of the 4 pillars, the Be the Change courses, is that they're not necessarily that woo-woo. It's like, just meditate if you can for a couple minutes every day. Spirituality simplified. Try to buy less plastic. I'm one of those people. Like, that's why Katie's your teacher in zero waste, because she's way more legit, where the reason I promote it is because I'm more of us and more people to do it. But like, I literally will like message Katie when I'm, hey Prisoner, I know dude, you've given me the topic. Katie, yeah, because Katie really is a lot more committed to like the zero waste, where I message Katie to like confess, being like, Katie, I bought 2 plastic bottles today. And that's usually like serious, straight up. It's like back in the day when I used to drink, and you have a down day and be like, fuck it, I'm gonna have a drink. And then Jody C, and I think this is part of certainly the Ultra Love angle and conversation, and that's why we call it Zenful Zero Waste, because I'm not about propagating, let's make each other feel horrible about the fact that the earth is in the shits. Instead, let's just all encourage one another, one, to become more aware of there's some random issues, and it's kind of tied to our enslavement, which is also weirdly tied to our consumerism, where we think our consumerism is our freedom. We're like, financial freedom. Oh, let's all just get to buy more stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but why do we feel like we have to keep buying shit? Why can't we just get along? Why can't, like, Jody, I'm sure you teach classes like myself. It's like being of service. And this is like straight up, you guys, after acknowledging that the last 3 months, January, February, and March 2019, I have been working by myself. We're like online entrepreneur. And then I'm realizing, gosh darn, this lifestyle, it's fairly isolating. You know, like, I have calls with you guys, like, it's a highlight of my day. I have these times, share. And then you make money, like, that's my motto, make money online, I make money while I sleep. And it's like, that's all well and good. But as a human, in a pocket of other humans, there's still a sense of, like, be of service to actual humans, like, actually provide value. And then loop back to this topic share, which was brought on by one of you, about, like, God, do you ever see those, like, online marketing campaigns, like, is your business totally failing? Are you a big fat fucking failure? Are you shit at life? Well, guess what? I was also once shit, but now I'm not so much. So you should listen to my free webinar, which I'm gonna fucking set up for you to make you just the right amount of inspired and also worthless, so that you buy my $500 program, which will give you all of the steps, but there's no guarantees, right? And I think the issue, and again, I'm somebody who's done that program, not always by following the webinar, but actually people at the time, mentors and stuff, gave me access to some of these programs, which they do have valuable information, but nothing is like some kind of weird quick fix. And I think that's where we get triggered with these, like, make money online and like It's no different than I want to say the dudes from Marks and Spencer's like 100 years ago, or whenever the fuck the main people would have been starting that company. They just grafted and hustled and kept selling, right? They just kept selling, and then they had more, and then they got some ideas, and then they sold more, and then they got some ideas and they sold more. It wasn't like we went from an idea to then Marks and Spencer's global, or they're not, I don't know that they're global, but they're certainly nationwide in the UK, right? So then they become this nationwide, very successful brand. But the reason for it, and I'm not really necessarily being that clear or that like real when it comes to this, but you think about those big brands, they didn't necessarily start like corporate mindset. They just started providing the best service that they could to the people that they were serving. And I think that's something we don't want to, and I gotta say, based on some of these again, these marketing campaigns that get rolled out that trigger our unworthiness super obviously and then lead us down this rabbit trail to then, again, the sales pitch where they feed you more unworthiness stuff. And again, I know because I've done quite a few of them, right? And it's amazing to me, just like advertising on TV, which I don't watch because in 2013 was probably the last time I actually like allowed myself or even had the desire, you could say, to just sit. I was at a hotel. I was like away for a weekend. And it was like, oh yeah, I'll just sit in my arse and watch TV. Like, that's a fun thing to do. And it literally was within 10, 20 minutes, there was I remember it. It was a Bailey's commercial. And I hadn't had a drink for probably about a year and a half at this point. And I'm watching this Bailey's commercial. And literally, I didn't even, like, not, it just out of nowhere, I'm like, oh yeah, I fancy that. And I caught myself in that moment. I actually, again, hey, awareness and meditation working its fucking magic, you. But I caught myself being like, oh my God, that is it. That is how quickly and that is how powerfully it works. Even with a self-proclaimed like aware human or awake human. I'm like, yeah, and you sit in front of that fucking TV, it will program your mind subliminal and obvious. Like it's an advert for Bailey's. And I'm like, yeah, I'm aware, but like if you just numb out for like a couple minutes, it will do its work. So when we're scrolling through social, we've now been programmed in the same way on the social media feeds that we get that people have worked out what seems to work. Now then, what I'm acutely aware of, especially because one of you brought this to me and I started to get triggered in the same way over these last couple of years, because especially with Ultra Love, because like it's just me and it's like my heart basically. So I'm like, I realized, just like many other of my patterns, I realized that all these patterns were just leading me back to me and being like, girl, you can follow anyone else's rules when it comes to like selling your products or you know, making money or any of that. But at the end of the day, I know myself well enough to be like, but it just won't res. It's like I had a backer and they're like, oh, buying followers and all this. Like, I knew my mind was being manipulated. Like, I knew the truth of it wouldn't. And lo and behold, it's so representative of our ego that it's like, but like, love you all. Like, we all go through it, I think. Like, it's just... So anyway, these clever people have figured out how to target people's unworthiness, then that makes them want to buy their stuff. And like, there's this process. There's the whole like, I want to say results in advance. So this, I'm like giving away like trade secrets, you guys. But so you have this like premise of, yeah, the results in advance. So you give away people your best products. That helps to hook them in to get subscribers. It's a sales funnel. It's a sales funnel. It's a trap. It's a trap. It's a trap. So they might tell you why it's so good for you, but at the end of the day, they're really just roping you in to buy their products, which may or may, and in fairness, like, I can't diss it, because I'm like, it can be valuable, but isn't that what we're all working on? Yeah, like, aren't we just working on our sense of worth and value? Oh, same Matthew. Thanks for triggering that. Fifth, you just reminded me. Good morning, Fifth. Absolutely. That's why I don't watch TV. Me neither. And I don't. And 2013. So that experience, Matthew, was for sure the knock it off. Like, even for fun. I'm like, oh man, like watching TV for fun isn't fun, you know, because I noticed how powerful that was. Oh, wow. Nice, dude. I don't want other people's nonsense to do my progress. Boom. Boom. Yeah, same. I'm not like, I'm super more aware of it. I might scroll and then bypass, and I appreciate friends and family like input around what's going on energetically in the matrix, you could say. And yeah, and so and now we have like the TV mainstream, and now obviously we're well aware of this, like things like increasingly Facebook are also being propagated and driven by an agenda. Which then means, and like straight up, here's the legit truth, you guys, like the last couple times that I've tried to do even a campaign, like especially for my zero waste stuff, pardon me, not just my zero waste, the Be the Change. So these Be the Change courses, I've tried on like probably 2 separate occasions when I have like a spare tenner in my account. I'll be like, oh, I'll do a little campaign. Also because Facebook reminds you, and if you're a little bit weak, you might just go for it, which I do. I'm like, yeah, I'll do a little, and it's been an interesting little process, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, this is the new way for online marketing. It's like break free from that stream marketing agency 9 to 5 and then move into the online marketing where you can tap into more. Oh my God, you know what I'm hearing? Where you can tap into more innocence. Where you can tap into more of people's vulnerabilities and like trigger it and then take their money. Which I think a lot of the stuff on the internet is scamology, and that's why I think more and more people are wising up. This is what I wanted to get to with this share, because straight talk, you guys. So we're all getting this feeling, right? We're all starting to sniff out the bullshit with these random fucking online marketing campaigns. And then what I'm realizing is like, see how quickly we're moving? Okay, it's taken us like, what, 20 years or 30 years to properly start to realize, guys, the TV is fucking programming our minds to be consumerist slaves. And then we're all going, yeah, like, step away from the TV, you guys, turn it off. And then we're moving it, and then we're like, internet, bah, like, glow and follow those lights, right? And then obviously people have made money and and people have changed their lives, and oh my gosh, how exciting, and new paradigm activity and messages getting over to more of us and information spreading around the globe, and isn't it fantastic? And yet then there's the backlash overlay of boom, let's get those fucking marketing people, let's get those trigger happy sales folk to get into the online world so that we can start that programming on that level. So we are, thank you, by the way, Matthew, because that has like encouraged me, oh, funny, and I didn't even plan this, but like, this is how it rolls, right? Intuition, IUNPLUG, vibrashe, where it's like, unplug. After launching Vegan Love this Friday, FYI, I go on, first, MJ, take some downtime, girlfriend. Well, not downtime, like, I don't need more time in this room, that's for sure. But like, go play, go outside, go surfing, go do fun stuff, you know, and just teach yoga for the local people. Like, just come back to the ground, to your feet, and like, be still for a bit, not be on your computer. That's awesome. And isn't there one of you here, Grace, that's like, not, Autumn, that where you've like, I've just had to unplug. Like, sometimes you just need to fully get away from all of it. Not taking my money, I'm a poor bastard. Dude, great. Like, because this is the thing, you guys, and this is what I think some of you are realizing, straight talking bastard that lives alone with no life. It's why I'm on YouTube. Well, join us. Because that's kind of part of us congregating here, is that we're not particularly vibing with the people on our streets, that often we're still noticing, oh my God, people are just buying and buying and buying, and they're completely miserable and or completely exhausted. Here in the UK, not just remember I mentioned like charity shops, bedding shops, and high street brands. It seems like all we got. New Human Jupiter one. Oh, girlfriend, I like binged on your community feed, Fifth World, and watched one. I read some of your updates about the planetary, and like, so much of it like weirdly resonates. Like, it's not in my conscious presence, but like, I feel it. It's pink. But I do get a sense intuitively of that feeling, right? So guys, you know, so we have this mass wave of like more people waking up to like the shittiness of the TV stuff. So we're all pretty switched on. Guys, we woke as fuck here. That felt really weird to say. Gematria, Akashic Records. OMG, so straight up. And like, I had to do a little bit of digging around a number that kept presenting itself to me, and Gematria came up. and it was from you that I even knew that word, and I was like, okay, this is clear the information, because it was a little bit different from like the recurring messaging that I intuitively was like, I don't think this is quite it. And then it came up again, it was super powerful. And then, yeah, and then it was something to do with that, and like actual biblical definition and interpretation of that number. Matthew. Yeah, Matthew's quote here, like literally this is the legit, I would say this is almost, because I really resonate with that, Matthew. Like, when we have awakenings, these are some of the earliest things you think, like, so we're all working our fucking, like, slaves so that we can just, and like, this was like me living in Liverpool, everybody works like slaves just to have enough money to buy a nice outfit for the weekend and maybe do their hair. And then you're so busy working too hard to actually enjoy it, let your personal relationships fail because stuff is better than, yeah, because we're all chasing the Friends, like, as in Friends, that TV program. We're chasing the Friends. We think our lives just be like this. We're all, and this is why, like, gossip and all that shit kind of hurts us so bad, is that so easily we get swept up into these little gossip trails, whether it's someone gossiping about us or us gossiping about them. It's shit. And like, I'm increasingly aware of like, wow, our families and our friendship circles, we're not focusing necessarily on creating. And this is another thing about like the legit, I'm like, and then when you are somebody who breaks free and endeavors to pioneer like a loving movement, and then you can really, in the wake of you stepping off or in you taking that leap, you can even sometimes see the underneath what people are really feeling and thinking and projecting onto you. And like, what has also ultimately shocked me, and I can put my hands up to this, I have jealousy in me. It doesn't matter my star sign, but I'm by nature a fairly competitive type person. I'm a woman who's got that same programming. I just work really damn hard to not act from those places and to not actually be like that, to go deeper and to find the loving unity and connection and to not buy into those social programs, right? But that's an awareness, and increasingly I think more and more of us are aware of these like narcissistic tendencies where people, unless you're an empath, you just don't do that. You're just constantly defending against your own feelings of judgment and anger and, you know, whatever. I'm a Leo rising and I'm a Leo and then ascendant Aries. Ooh, fire, fire, fire. And the fires were really like, did you guys like that? We're really coming out. Well, and because like Sagittarians as well, like I think the fires are totally like the struggle is real. Guys, I just freaking love you. Hey, earlier start, my friend, because I've woken up before 2 in the morning, so we're good to go. And plus, this is what happens when you, like, if you're computering and working all day on the computer. Well, you guys know what this is like. And then, I went to bed about 8:30 last night, which actually doesn't give me that. I'm like, that means I only slept for about 4 or 5 hours. But hey ho, you know, this also being your own boss, you can take naps whenever you need to. So like, you know, there's no complaining vibrashe here. It's just pure love heart. Pure love heart. You got it. You got it, Julie. So yeah, I mean, and this is where I'm like literally saying it with as much big love to you, Bobo, as well, Bobo Manny. Sweet, you guys. Yeah, because you're wherever you are in the world, this slightly earlier time aligns. It's like it does not align, however, for my mom. It's too early for her. I need to catch her between a kind of 5 and 6 p.m. window because she's usually like out having dinner or something like that at this hour. She's on the West Coast, like you guys. That about cyclical time in a third dimensional matrix. Oh, cyclical time in a third dimensional matrix. Right. Okay, and so you can see how marketing advertising fits into that 3D matrix paradigm. It's cyclical. People just go round and round, Monday to Friday, and then again, for some reason, however this is, we resonate here because straight up on a soul level, our souls came here like, screw that, boom. Like, it was like, I can't abide. Or we're in it and we're going, like, this isn't working. This is squeezing people off. This is like, Literally, like literally this is aspects of the systems that are squeezing people's life force right out of them. Wherever we are in it, whether we're lawyering, whether we're doctoring, whether we're teaching, you know, it's, and the thing is, I think more and more health professionals even are recognizing it's not working. The pharmaceuticals aren't working. Our overarching diet isn't working, right? I think I need some of what I was resisting. I don't know. Any routine. Yeah, the routines, well, and I wouldn't, but I think so. I feel that a bucks. So what I'm hearing about routine is it will anchor itself in. You don't need to worry about that, I don't think. Like, oh, but you said about the grid. So like that, so these, and like the way I see them is just new energies. And there is a sense of a grid to the new energies. But it's not embedded in the earth the same way, the black matrix was, or the dark energy matrix, you could say. Okay, thanks Bobo, nice to see you here, and hi Nbox. Yeah, and so I was shown that routine develops with feeling. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, that's where I'm like, and this has been, I'm somebody who's worked through a lot of control patterns, like from early, like the anorexia, bulimia, to like obsessive food and exercise, and then like you could almost say obsessive alcohol abuse, and then obsessive, you know, so there's a lot of that tendency in me, which is probably why I just want to share honestly, and the fact that it's all worked out kind of through humility and compassion and grace. But yeah, that's what you said. So Julie, for someone like me, which some of you might resonate with that kind of like overly like pressurized, like go mess, where I would have like days where my schedule weren't jam packed. This is going back to high school, okay? So 20 odd years, but when my days, like every day of the week, when it wasn't jam packed with like activities, I felt like really guilty. And so for me, it was starting, so in my early 30s, I was consciously working on transforming those underlying stress patterns so that I could actually relax. And it's really been quite a journey to get to this point where, and like I can remember when I was briefly living and working with Katie in Brighton, and she always felt this, she's like, it's so weird with you because like you have this like flow, like, because you're always really present and or like patient or grounded or whatever, and so there's like this fluidity, but then she's like, but you're actually like a really disciplined and routined person. I'm like, well yeah, because like I'll tend to wake up at certain hours every day. I have my reflection time, my self-love time, and yet what I can say, like I'm literally getting this just now by sharing this with you guys, is that has been a practice I've developed over time with the yoga and with the self-love and with, because I could see that the other, i.e. remaining in a perpetual state of self-loathing, self-judgment, you know, all of that, and then the behavioral impulses that come out of that state of being were killing me. Whether it was literally me trying to slit my throats at the age, or throat, my, you know what that is, wrist, at the age of 15, to drinking myself into blackout stupors in my early 20s, to then bottoming out financially by the time I'm 30, going, oh my God, what is love? What is love? You know, because all of the illusions that I bought into had well and truly disappeared. So it's really been only in these last sort of 6 or 7 years that I've anchored some of this spiritual awareness through disciplined self-love practices like anointment by oil. It's stuff I talk about in all the courses as well, for the most part. Not zero waste, obviously, but oh, I love you, Fifth World. And it's also that, you guys, it's that I just don't, I practice addressing the emotional synaptic kind of So I tend to not even really I tend to not even give a ass about my personal like patterns of behavior, because I'm aware that those behaviors come from the energy source. So I will always tend to look at low level emotional patterns when I get triggered, and or environment and or people who bring stuff up or trigger it externally or trigger it from within me, right? Oh, Matthew. I love you guys. I love you guys. And then that just reminds me, I'm like, see, this is how we res you guys, right? Because it's like, we feel it's like, I bet so many of us have that story of like, in our teenage years being suicidal or having some pretty severe psychological mental health issues because we were awakening to the darkness of the world. We were once again being born having to face the darkness. Yeah, we all, like, legit, that's just what like that, any of us who've ever been suicidal or attempted suicide just know that it's like, it's just because we don't want to be here. Aw. Oh my god, how beautiful! And like, at the same time, a little poignant and bittersweet, right? Total newbie, what do we get from emotional triggers? Okay, so the triggers are points where we can root them out. We've kind of touched on this a little bit. So a trigger is literally any time in our daily routine, which if you look over, it could be quite an obvious weekly routine or monthly routine, i.e. I always see Lady Joe Bob. I always see Lady Joe Bob on a Saturday when I'm dropping little Mary off to dance class, and yeah. and then for something she says to me always triggers me. Okay, so trigger is just an emotional hit. Someone says something, does something, and it hits us, and we're like, or my new default, somebody sits, I might feel anger for a moment, and then I'm like, my new default is just crying, holy shit, and especially because I don't hold it back, so people are just like, okay. And I'm like, you're not gonna make me come out for crying right now, okay? I just need to feel. Just give me space. So it's much nicer to, and increasingly I'm like, this is why I'm like, it is literally freedom hanging out with other empaths, because no longer do people shame me for feeling, and no longer do people try to make me wrong. And that was another big thing as well. Often people, they, not only do they try to like, shh, stop feeling stuff, you need to, they can also actually shame you. Like, how dare you be feeling that? And this is, okay, so yeah, continuing. So the trigger hits us, we feel it, we can either react, be like, how dare you make me feel this way? Or we can just be like, oh, I'm having a trigger. You're like, oh, I need to, so the trigger is an opportunity, especially when we can preempt it, i.e. in our imagination, target where people, places, or things that are triggering us on a regular basis, because we can probably figure it out, i.e. the hubs, i.e. oh, and there's a collective, Julie, this is definitely something to do with the collective, because it's coming up for like a few of the feminines around me. And whenever, I swear to God, whenever there's an anger trigger coming out of the feminine and with polarized with the reflection of the masculine, it's ways in which we've been disempowered as women. So all of this stuff about our denying intuition, denying our emotion, blah, 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 blah. Now, remember this, in partnership and union, it's that our anger is their anger too. So we do want to be clear channels. We do want to find a way of, one, holding space for the energetic trigger, two, being able to hold space so that we can anchor with it, be with it, let it shift through us. And then on the other side of these storms, you might cry, you might feel more on the other. So that's when I call it the trigger. And then often is the case that if we can be present with a trigger, it becomes a wave, and then it becomes a storm. And then when we're in the emotional storm, we know that we're going to have a perspective shift. We know that we're going to have an integration process that's going to allow us to either manifest what we need and or have the perspective shift we need to clearly communicate or confront something is happening in our energetic field so that that trigger doesn't come back anymore. So there's like a little bit of an outworking process that takes place, but especially communicating and sharing with you guys is that what, and this is what I talk about in the book, is that we have to understand the collective unity of energy, is that this isn't like women and men, we were all programmed in a divisive tactic. So we were all, what's the fucking classic thing? Men are from Mars and women are from Venus. So we have like this propagated program going, women are from one planet, men are from another planet. What does that subliminally tell us? Oh, we're just fucking worlds apart. We're planets apart. How on earth could we ever meet? Well, man has to be a provider and a woman has to be a sexy cleaner. And so like we try to fit into those roles. We're like, it's terribly limiting. And then why is the family dynamic falling apart? Because we're having to go deeper and then up level and root out stuff. And this is absolutely within our ability to do so. It's just delicate. And this is where I'm like, I want to give ourselves as much love, unconditional love and acceptance as possible because of the delicateness of the subject. Because what I'm getting is that because of men's programming, this is a generalization, but actually affirmed by some of the interaction I'm having with the masculine. It's like, because of men's programming from early childhood, a lot of them collectively through this awakening experience, it's like they're having to relearn about their emotions. They've been so having to disconnect to survive that there's like this extra layer or level for a lot of men awakening right now where they're like, oh, what is even that emotion? I've been completely in denial. Brilliant, Julie. I'm glad that resonates. And because this is something that came through, and this is part of me just being like the feminist, the angry feminist, right? But that, so that was like my my late teens, early 20s around my awakenings where the angry feminist came out, right? And then more recently, what I noticed, because I allow myself to be expressive and I have safe channels to express some of the anger, and I'm aware that it's like the collective imprinting, but increasingly, and then also while I was sharing and or working with a client, certainly, it was like, oh yeah, okay, so like women who are like, blah, 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 or like these control or have these anger spells or whatever. And I always come back to this when people are in partnership, when they're in union and they're reflecting each other, and I'm like, and you think her anger has nothing to do with you? This is part of like, like the shit of the work. It's that we always have to bring it back to self. And because women typically on a social scale or a worldly scale, because women typically have been oppressed, women will be slightly more aware of certain things. Hence the anger, hence why we have to anchor in and like, I know, I'll get out there eventually. I really need to visit Portland and I need to visit Seattle. We need to be able to anchor in so that we can be clearer communicators and help them understand that my emotions are your emotions, and I need to work through this anger so that I can have a more broader understanding, a more holistic point of view. I will, Julie. I will come and stay. Or we can find some kind of, we can find some kind of retreat center outside of this city, because there's a few of you on the West Coast, right? I said that, the 10-year-old. I'm like, oh, you know, that's another age I do not miss. I don't miss that age. Oh my gosh, you guys. So we've gone completely, I'm not even sure how or where, but I do love you. I think this is fantastic. I love my morning chats with you guys. And I do sometimes miss, like, I'll be in maybe a groggy or like kind of serious mood and not want to go live, and so I won't. But I'm like, why do I not want to go live ever? Because you guys are the best. He's like, Mom, she says the effort. I'm like, sometimes it's literally just that, like the potty mouth can be like, we're gonna get along, you and me. Because you say the F word freely. So yeah, so a lot of us in union, in partnership, if there's a lot of anger coming out, and this is, again, you're not alone. This is coming up for a lot of, like, the feminines. The anger is because the guys are trying to figure out the emotion, but they've not quite landed. So we're still kind of like picking up a lot of slack, which increasingly with the awareness, the picking up of the slack is just like, fuck! Like, I'm breaking. I can't fucking do it anymore. And like, and then basically that's like the softening. Once we can rah and then break down and meet, then as a couple, usually as a unit, we can then up level. I talk about it and it doesn't really matter the dynamic, because you guys know this. It's like relationships are relationships. We can either, I like this analogy. It's like walking together, or like even as a community, we are all holding on to this rope. You know, we can move around. We all have a little bit of freedom, but we're walking along with the rope. And every once in a while, there's going to be a knot in the rope, which we're not just gonna fucking bang into continuously. Wait, a few of the, maybe the leader types or the slightly smarter rope walkers, they're gonna be like, stop everybody! Okay, let's undo the knot. Take their time, undo the knot. Then off we go. That's kind of how I see us working on our relationships, is that we understand that there are probably people that we really resonate with, that feel like family, that we want in our lives, and we want to keep them in our lives. So let's address things as and when they're present, and then work through them. And let's be straight up, we guys. Let's like, if we're triggered, especially like an emotion like frustration, rage, or anger, we gotta let that shit pass. We all know that reacting and going at each other is like, once the pain body's in reaction, we're not gonna solve an issue, because the pain body is like the ego on a mission. Once the pain body's active, the ego is literally like a seeking missile, being like, I need to find my target. I need someone to prove that my reaction is justified. And right? Instead of going, oh, energy, I'm gonna bite my husband's head off, like whatever it is, I can sit with this and then root it out, possibly have a bit of a breakdown if needed, and then go, what is this really? And then usually when we can sit with it, and then we're like, holy shazba. And then most people, not just husbands or partners, but most people were a lot better at being like, okay, so this is what happened to mommy yesterday. Mommy, instead of, right? Because, and then we all know this in our relationships, any kind of relationships, when we react, when we freak out, like, oh my God, like I told you about the little bug, or like, even when I was in high school, when I was in a pissy mood and I'd yell at my dog, I would just feel so bad. I'm like, he doesn't fucking deserve, he's an innocent creature. He doesn't deserve me yelling at him. And it's often what we do, which shock us, whether it's like screaming at the kids, or even like amazing women that I've met, you know, on the transformational journey, who it was being a little drunk, like maybe drinking, and then having a kind of rage and like throwing one of their kids on the bed. And that was what kind of woke her up to be like, oh fuck, like I need to look at myself and I need to change, right? So it's often facing those situations, but there again, unless we let it come out, we don't get to see it. So it's really good when we can start to see ourselves. Service and sales. So I gotta say, you guys, I'm really loving this energy as far as, do you know what works and has always worked for me? Like, just be a decent human being. Practice what you love and get good at what you love, and then eventually people will pay you for it. It's pretty much what happened with, and the only times I've made money are as a yoga teacher, and now here selling my book online and having sessions, and soon selling more and more of these online practical action online courses, which I'm excited about. But I gotta say, I don't res with like marketing tactics and stuff like that, because it feels like ick to me. It feels like I'm trying to manipulate people to be like, you need this because you're a door or whatever. So it's like, that's not my vibe. I think just get really good at, and here's the legit truth. If it's true, like if it's good and it does provide people with value, they'll buy your stuff, you know? And okay, we can all have, I'm sure, I guess I'm just ranting because I'm Capricorn Aries. I'm very independent and I don't like to be told what to do. And people are like, well, what's your name? I'm like, I don't want to do it. Thank you. Hot love vibe. I know, Julie, I love you so much. Yeah, and then that's like, but But then I'm like, but that's where I'm like, I can't write one of those campaigns. I don't have any of those sales funnels because I'm not interested in manipulating people to buy my stuff. I'd rather just have the heart of vibrashe and people to understand what harmonious exchange is. I'm like, and of course there's that big piece of empowering people to their freedom. And oddly, like a lot of people here are already free in many, many, many ways. We're just all navigating in our function. And so the way we're all being asked to, and I gotta say, I feel this is another huge collective thing. All of us are addressing it, the self-worth stuff. So financial stuff is coming up for people. And then all of us on some level are addressing home stuff, family stuff that's coming up in our families. I swear to God is relevant. And it's the masculine stuff's come up from my dad as well, so in our family. So there's definitely across the board big reveals happening, and I don't know how it's tied in, but basically, you know, the true heart of it all is just be yourself and give of the self and be guided in how to give, and the resources for what you need will show up. The resources for how you need to move yourself forward will always show up. They always do, certainly from the perspective of the divine. But I'll tell you, from one like just from one ego to another ego, personally, most of my financial troubles or bottom out phases or any of that were all about my ego. We're all about like me and expectation to outcome ultimately. So whenever we're hitting up against like financial issues, it's usually to do with something deep within us of us wanting to kind of like address the unworthiness that resides there, which is why we either won't allow ourselves to receive, or we won't have the inspiration to move in a direction or to allow ourselves and be open to opportunity. So it's nice to be here, and it's nice to be sharing here with you guys, and from like a slightly different perspective. And I really love that you resonate with it, because it just pleases me to have this group, this community, because it feels like that, doesn't it? It's like legit friendship. I love you guys. I hope you have an awesome day. I do like seeing you here, and I know some of you can catch me a little bit earlier. Love and grace. I'm really, really happy that you're back. It's been so nice to see you. Jody C, they've been taught to shame emotion. Right, okay, I'm going back to your comments. It's not masculine, which perpetuates more and more disconnection with the self. Right. So it's like us embracing ourselves, honoring that unity of it, and then that can hopefully break it down. There is, and I mean, in fairness, Jody, and this is where I'm like, it's not just this specific divide. It happens to all of us, but like there is collective shame around emotion, not just masculine, but I would say on an energetic, emotional level, it's even harder for men to break down. It's even more of a shame and more of a stigma, where at least we women have been able to congregate to a certain degree and be vulnerable with each other and share with each other, which I think men, and even a lot of men's circle, don't have the safety. They're not in safe space to do it, which is why a lot of men lean on their women to do that. But then some women don't have enough energy to support the men in their breakthrough, right? Be a humanist, Matthew, for sure. That's obvious. That's so the way, right? Matthew, I love a nice comment. Thank goddess I worked through a ton. Nice, Matthew. Great insights, you guys. Plus, you guys like put lovely comments and massage my ego. You massage my ego, and that's quite good. Ego is a challenger for me, so it's nice to remember what it's like to be that, and then remember to drop right down back into humility, right? Because life keeps triggering us. That's so true, Matthew, as well. That is the legit. I'm like, honestly, you just get good at what you're doing. People talk about it and you're off. You don't need. And I swear to God, like when you really look at it, people have made huge successes, not through media manipulation to try to buy stuff. The longevity is through, I would say, true commitment to delivering positivity and a good service for humanity. And I think in these revolutionary times, some of us are just on the cusp of like quite a foundational shift in the awareness of our brothers and sisters, which will then, oh yeah, and that was part of the reason of the share, is that I think more and more of us are wisening up to the, like, more and more people are unplugging. I think more and more people are unplugging from social media, and more people are damn tired of the sales funnels, like damn tired, because they're not effectively working, right? Oh, good night, you guys. I love you very much. Hi, James. How are you? Aw, it's so nice to see you guys. Can't wait for Friday. I can't wait for Friday as well. Julie, I can't wait for Friday. There's two things. One, it's my birthday. I'm gonna party like it's my birthday. A party. Go to bed at 7:30. But how exciting is this to have a call with you on Saturday afternoon after, and this is the biggest piece, I will have launched Vegan Love, you guys. So I will no longer be just like this little, like literally just in my sweat den. That's gross, but it's kind of true. Like in my little sweat den, typing or editing or filming for that matter. I did film a fair bit just right here in this room for, anywho. It doesn't really matter, but I do love you guys. Julie, I'm so looking forward. Oh, thank you, Molly Patrick. Thanks, because I actually can use a couple more of those. Thank you. And actually, it's my mom's birthday today. Mama. It doesn't matter what age she is. She's something 60, but my mom is got a birthday today. I'm on Friday, so I get to have a call with some new fave people. And then, I don't know. Maybe I'll do something wild and, like, go to a music gig or something. And, like, anyway, I'm not going to go on. But there you go. Birthday. Vegan Love is launched. And then I start some lovely new community yoga classes on Monday. And then I'm just going to have a bit of downtime away from my computer and my devices, even though I'm going to be sharing here pretty much every day because I can't help myself, because I love you guys. So, great chat today. It was all over the map, but hey ho, that's how we roll here, right? You guys have a glorious day and or sleep night time where you are, and I'm so looking forward to speaking to you guys real soon. Oh yeah, Dorian, hells to the yizza. Actually, the new moon is on Friday, on my birthday. Honestly, I think there could be some like awesomely heavenly juice that descends upon the earth on my birthday, which just makes me glittery. Okay, I'm gonna end it there, you guys. Shh, stop talking, honestly. I love you. Oh, hey. Hey, Manchester. Nice to meet you, fellow UK comrade. Lots of interesting things happening in this country, that's for sure. Anywho, you guys. Hello, Lakshmi. I have so much gratitude. Look, heart, love, vibrashe. I'm just reflecting back your guys' love. And that is all. That is all. So I'm looking forward to having a couple calls with you guys later in this week and celebrating my birthday just because I can. I love you guys. Enjoy it. And I'm so looking forward to speaking to you soon. Thanks for everything.